Hi guys, welcome back to the Lee Valley in Engage. I'm Stu, and as you can see, there's been some progress made on the station building. So let's have a look at how I've done the mortar and the windows and glazing and how I've got to this far. So let's have a look at that.
So this is where I got to last time. Construction of all of these. It's not too bad. They were pretty straightforward and are pretty solid as well. Especially this one. That one's actually ridiculously solid. I think it's because of this extra wall here. But there we go. Right, so what we're going to do first is that we are going to paint all of these, but just give you a little point of what I'm going to do. So we're just going to focus on the brickwork to start with. All of these stones and all these little parts here, I'm thinking I'm going, and even the lintels. I'm thinking I'm going to actually paint them the same color as the mortar. It's sort of like a beigey sort of color, so it kind of will look a bit like dressed sandstone. So yeah, the actual window sills, I will paint a darker color, more like a concrete-y color, which weirdly enough is actually the same color that I use for the roofs, but that's a different story. So what the idea is going to be is that we paint the walls, we then paint these seals as well, and then these like rendered bits and stuff like that, and then we will paint. Then we will try and attempt to do the actual mortar. So that's the way we'll do that to get that going forward. What I'm going to do first, though, is something I didn't do last time, which was rather a bit silly, but there we go, which is the chimneys. Now, I'll show you the way these chimneys are for these kits. They come in halves. So as you can see, they are literally just halves. Now, I'm going to cut these out because I'm going to paint them up as well. So it makes sense to paint them all at the same time. Again, these ones will be exactly the same principle. We paint the brick color, then we paint the mortar, and then we're going to do the tops of the chimneys and then the actual chimneys themselves. I do actually flatten these, but obviously I won't be doing that. I do actually drill them out as well, so I'll show you that too when we get to that stage. But straight at this present moment in time, we're not going to be drilling out anything. So what I'm going to do is literally cut these out and then cut one side out and then glue it onto the other side. So I've got a bit of a handle. I can use the actual sprue as a handle to paint and hold the thing while we paint it. I'm going to also trim up a little bit here. I've noticed there's a rather weird molding mark in the section here where there isn't actually any brick moldings. So I might actually treat that as like a dressed stone or rendered sort of like section. Maybe paint that in that color, see what it looks like. Yeah, so we might have a go at doing something like that first. Not the actual rendering, but I'm going to try and clean up this little bit first to see if we can get rid of this mark, because having just a weird circle in the chimney is weird. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to cut these out, glue them back to back, and yeah, and then we'll get on to, while they're drying, we'll then can start moving on to the painting. So let's get on to that. So there we are, very quick 10-minute video clip there. That took me about 10 minutes to do, just to get these all nice and sanded down on here, and also get them all glued together. As you can see, the chimneys are like rounded on the ends. I will be filing these flat, and then I'll drill them out, and then these will be painted a separate color as well, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to let these cure and go off. Should be okay. I mean, the way these fix in is they're actually fixed in via the roof, So they actually glue to the actual roof, not to the buildings at all. So that's the way these actually glue in. What we're going to do is we're just going to leave these to dry now, and then the major thing we're going to focus completely onto painting. So what I'm going to do is that obviously here's each of the buildings. We're just going to paint them all first, give them all a rough coat of this colour. So I'm going to use, this will all come out, and I'll explain this whole method whenever we get there. So this is gloss number 19, Humbrol enamel paint. Other paints are available. I just kind of like this. This is a method I found that's worked. Other people may find different things that work, but this is the one that I found works pretty well and has given me quite a nice little red brick technique. I found that when I do the gloss paint, it doesn't become gloss. It is gloss on here, but when we apply the mortar, which is a matte, it actually blends it all nicely. Reason why I started using this paint was because some of the other textures and colours that I found, which were brick colours, weren't coming out to the colour that I normally associate brick to. I mean, obviously you've got different types of brick. You've got red brick, you've got blues, which are blue bricks and blue engineering bricks, or you can get red engineering bricks as well. You've also then got London stock bricks, which are yellow. So there's an all sorts of different variety of different types of brick that you can get. So this is one I found which is pretty simple, not symbolic, pretty close to the actual, I don't know why I said symbolic there, but anyway, there we go, which is quite close to the red that I want for the brickwork. And it should be quite nicely offset by the buff that's going to be on these like rendered sections and stuff like that as well. So that's what I hope is going to actually happen. So we're just going to paint all of these bits now in this red, colour, and yeah. And I'm also going to do the chimneys and also this section of wall as well that's supposed to fit on the front of the booking hall. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so managed to paint all the buildings. Unfortunately, this paint that I've used, it takes a while to actually dry. So this is actually a bit of a while later. It usually takes around about a day, sometimes a bit longer. It gets really tacky, but fortunately the tackiness is gone now. So that's pretty good. Although something's still a bit sticky there and I don't actually know what that is. But anyway, there we go. So what we're going to do is that we're going to just try and start doing the mortar and the other stuff. Yeah. So basically what I thought I'd do with these is that we'll paint these up as like a sandstony colour, the lintels, and also we'll paint up these. And then if you can see here, there we go. That's a better way of showing it. Use the light and look into the phone as you're actually recording it. We've got these like little ridges that are on most of these buildings. So there you go, you've got 4 on there, 3 on that side. On this building there's a couple, as you can see here and here. So I thought what I might do is I'm going to paint these up as if they're rendered. I was originally thinking of painting them blue as actual a gloss blue similar to this, as if it was actual engineering blue bricks. But there isn't actually any detail on them. They're just literally just plain lines on the same line as the bricks. They're not actual. They don't actually look like bricks. So I think that's what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to paint these up, and we'll see how they come out. They probably might need a couple of coats, I would imagine. So if they do, I'll paint up one coat as a time lapse, and then we'll see how we go with the other bit. I'm also going to paint the same color on the bottom of these chimneys. So we're going to paint it this area here, not the bottom, the top. This part is going to be painted up with that color. I'll leave the chimneys to another time to deal with that. And then hopefully when that's dry and that's all ready to go, we'll have a go at doing the mortar, which I'm going to be using this Humbrol color 94. And I'm going to be using the color 71 for the rendering stone effect stuff. So that's what we're going to do with that. Well, I'll show you how I do it with these. I need to try and actually slightly remember it as well, because I haven't actually done this in so long. So I'm going to have a little go at this as well. Maybe test out a little bit, maybe on the chimneys or something, before we restart that. But yeah, let's get the all of the lintels and the lintels, yeah, and all of those bits done. And yeah, we'll then see how we go from there. Okay, So the buildings themselves are now fully painted. So I'll just show you this one. As you can see, I'm not going to hold it too much because it's a little wet in places. So I've managed to get all of the sections done. I think it looks pretty good actually. All of these rendered areas and sort of making it look like stonework. I've had to do a little touch up in some areas with the red again, so I can't actually do any not rendering, I can't actually do any of the mortar at the moment on these, but that's what they look like, so they're just drying at the moment. That paint does take a while to dry, so can't really do anything with that at the moment. So what we're going to do is that we're going to focus on the windows. Now there are quite a few packs of the windows. As you can see, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 packs of windows, so that's pretty good. Although I think one of these might actually be to do with the other building actually. So yeah, so one of these might not need to be done. There we go. But we also got a single window on its own. So these are all of the windows that we need. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how I'm going to actually do these windows. So you've got 1 door per set as well. We need, yeah, so I think actually we need about 5 doors actually. So I think these are, I think these are the ones we need. Anyway, I forgot to check beforehand. That was good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to show you a little method that I've done with these. So what you've got on each of these windows is you've got a traditional sort of cross-bracing, not cross-bracing pattern, that doesn't even make any sense. You've got a typical pattern here where you've got, yeah, I mean, it looks as it is. I don't actually know the technical word for it. What I've done on some of the other ones is I've made them into sash windows. And the way I've done it is by cutting out some of these sections. Because what you find on some of the old railway buildings and some of those some of the old railway buildings, you find that they have sash windows, but they have very fine sections in between, sort of like not sections on the panes to sort of strengthen the window. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test this out because I haven't actually tried this. I'm just trying to scrape down. This is probably going to take a while actually. Just scrape down some of these sections because these are very thick sections, so I'm not sure that these are going to actually even work. It's probably not going to work at all. I might actually just treat these as sashes and just be done with it. The reason is because what I need to try and do is I need to try and thin down these sections because they're so big. I mean, it's like this is supposed to be a cross piece and these are supposed to be the vertical pieces, the horizontal and the vertical. So these are going to be the actual window edges themselves. These ones, yeah, let's move some of these out the way so I can actually show you what I'm doing. So these are actually going to be the actual vertical and horizontal. So this one I'm not going to touch because that's going to be the top. So you need the top one with 2 windows, sort of 2 panes at the top, which is quite common. And then these ones will be sash windows. So I'm just going to try and sort of reduce the thickness of this. See if it actually works. Now you could use some glue and glaze, I think, on the other side of these. I'm not going to do that myself. I'm just going to put some glazing, some clear plastic behind these. And the reason why I'm doing this is because you may think, oh, why am I doing this, testing it out now? Is because the fact is that if not, I'm just going to cut these out anyway. So, which I think I might actually do that. I might cut these out. So yeah, I think that's what I might do actually. I might just remove these completely and then we'll just work that out from there. So I'm just going to go grab some cutters and then yeah, we'll quickly re-carry that back on. Okay, I very quickly just paused the video there and just grabbed these. So we're just going to literally just very simply just snip it out. like that. And then, as you can see, we've got a little bit of, I don't know if you can just quickly, if I can zoom in on the camera, if it's going to focus, you can see we've got the tiny little bits left over. So all we just need to do then is just with the knife, very, very carefully, just cut them out. I'll use it from the back. I think I'm going to do this with every single one of these windows. This is going to take a while. This is going to be a fun job. There we go. That's it. So as you can see, that's what it looks like now. That's what it looked like before. So now we've got to do that with all the others. Some of these windows we'll just do one of these, we'll just cut one section out. This is also another issue because I've now got to try and work out where they actually are positioned on the actual models themselves as well. So that's incredibly helpful. So yeah, so that's basically the way that I'm doing it. And then the final thing that we're going to do with these windows is that we'll paint them white. Now you may think, why are we painting them white? The thing is that these are very, I mean, this is a really, maybe the light's not showing it that much, but it is very plasticky looking. So that's why I paint them white, just to cover up everything else, just to make it look a little bit more matte, a little bit more like actual wood. So yeah, so this is really what we're going to do. We're going to try and turn these into sort of sash windows. Yeah, so that's pretty much the task that is ahead of us now. So we've got to do it for all of these windows. I might do it for these as well, for the other set, so that we've got them all. The doors, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do them just yet. I've got to double check on one of the other ones that I've got. That I did these for, so I think I did them sideways, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I need to double check that. But anyway, that's what's going on with that one. So yeah, so now I'm just going to carry on, sort all these windows out, and I'll show you after they have been painted, and I'll show you what I'm using for the glazing. So guys, as you can see by the large amount of plastic on the floor, on the desk, I've managed to cut out all the windows. Now, this wasn't actually as much as I thought it was going to be. So a lot of these, so there's only been really 2 sheets, effectively, that I've actually had to cut everything out of. Because I'll give you a rundown of the different sizes. So the doors, you need 6 doors, so that would explain the 6 sheets. So that's useful for that one. You need 3 of these ones, of these medium-sized windows, I would call them. So medium-sized 4 pane windows, let's call it like that. The 2 pane windows, you only need 2 of these. And then these ones where it's sort of like 3 by 1, you need 9 of those. These ones are only 2, and then these ones there are 8. So only 2 sides. So effectively, you only need to cut out 2 of these. What I've done is to try and make things a little bit different, because the station building and the station master's house are the only 2 that need these larger windows. I've decided to make it a little bit different. So I cut out on this one all of the main central panes, as you saw on the time lapse. On this one, I decided to just change it very slightly, and I cut out effectively these 2, the 2 that are on here that I didn't cut out in the center. I cut those out, and so we've got a very nice little difference. And that's one of the things that I would say about this kit and about these kits, is they're so easy to do things like this with. I mean, look at that. I've just cut that out. That's taken me, it's taken me probably half an hour or so to cut out all of these windows. But you could put them in as they are. You could paint them up, paint them white, put them in as they are. Looks pretty good. It's not bad. But then you can cut them out and you can turn them into sash windows. You don't have to paint these white. You could paint them a different color. And that's one of the reasons why I love these kits. You could even change the doors if you wanted to, the actual things on it. You could even, if you want to, I mean, I'm gonna glue some plastic sheet to this after it's glued. Just clear plastic, like a bit like what you get in a cereal box, or not a cereal box, like in any packaging really, and just glue it to the back. But you don't have to do that. You could, if you wanted to, you could use glue and glaze and actually just completely fill up these windows. It would take you a while, but yeah, that's something you could do, and that would be your choice. And honestly, if you did do that, I think that would look pretty good. I just noticed there's a tiny bit of stuff sticking out. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. So the next thing we're going to do with these is we're going to paint them white and just cut down some of the plasticky sheen on them, and then we'll glue the actual plastic to the back of these 2. I will be using glue and glaze for that, just to actually try and make sure it all sticks on very nicely and we don't end up with some big blobs of stuff everywhere. If my glue and glaze is actually, I haven't used my glue and glaze for ages, so hopefully that will actually still be all right. I won't have to buy another bottle of that stuff. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, I forgot about that. I need to paint the doors as well. So they need to be painted, which we're going to paint them green. Actually, I might leave the doors, actually, because I just realised that we've actually got some not printed, but actual moulded doors on these. So, for example, on this one, it's got a moulded door. And I can't put that, I really would like to paint that the same colour as these. So I can't do that until we've actually done the mortar finish on those. So that's one thing that I'm going to have to not do. But anyway, we'll paint these white and then we'll get on to the next phase. Okay, so as you can see, we've all got stuff pretty ready for the mortar. But what I'll do is I'll just quickly show you the windows first. So what we've just done is that we've glued some, probably see it there, you can actually see the reflection of it. Just glued some of the just plastic sheet. It's just literally just, I think I bought it off eBay or something like that. So yeah, so all these are just the bits cut out, painted white, and then very generally just stuck those bits of plastic on the back, and it makes a nice little window sheeny sort of thing. You could use glue and glaze actually to just fill in the glass and make it nice and less indented. I mean, it's kind of like one of the old Hornby coaches, really, isn't it? But I hadn't really got to that stage, to be honest. sort of thought I'd have it sort of do it like that, and it works pretty well. The distance is enough to make it be affected. What I've done is now, so I'm going to start working on the mortar. Now, here's a section I've already done on one of the buildings. I did this just to refresh of how I do my this. I think it looks pretty good. It's not too bad. Mainly a little bit of extra weathering on top of it, but I can do that at a different time, or perhaps even use a bit of enamel, not enamel, bit of matte varnish on it too, just to tone it down very slightly. But overall, I think that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is that I'm literally just going to show you the method that I do to do this. It's probably some people might view this as a very strange method. I don't know. So what we're doing is that I'm using Humbrol 94 and acrylic. So fairly straightforward. This one was a little bit gloopy, so I just not gloopy, a little bit more solid. So I just added a bit of water to it, just to try and just make it a little bit better. Not better, that's the wrong word. So I also like to point out I have a jar of water as well. So that's for the to help out a little bit. And all we're going to do is just very simply is just, once this has worked, got enough reasonable amount of consistency there. Might need a little bit of extra water in there, possibly, or I can add that just on afterwards. It's a decent enough colour and a decent enough texture, so that's pretty good. So all we're going to do is just going to get a little bit of the paint here, and very simply we're just going to paint it on. Now, it may seem a bit confused to start off, but you will find out soon enough. So I'm going to paint it on these as well, because these have actually got mortar lines on it, which I didn't realise. So we're just going to need to pop a little bit on these arches as well. So I don't need to be very detailed on this. Just make sure you cover. I'll just make sure I cover everything that needs the mortar on it. Pretty thick layer, doesn't, it just needs covering in one go. That's basically all I'm focusing on, because what we need to do is we need to make sure it gets into those little cracks, the mortar lines and stuff. So there we go. So that's that. That's the first stage done. And then fairly quickly afterwards, all we're going to do is just going to get a piece of kitchen roll, in this case, and just wipe it off. I actually found that easier on the building, actually. Look at that, that's made quite a bit of a transformation there, isn't it? I didn't realise it was going to stain these bits as much though as it has done though. So there we go. So that's the top part done. That's basically what we're going to do on all of the rest of the structures. So we've got the 2 chimneys to do as well, and also we've got the other 3 buildings. This one obviously is already done. So yeah, so let's have a go at that. So here we can see this is what I've managed to do. I think it looks pretty good. I think they all look pretty useful. I mean, have a look at the actual colour as well. I mean, you can see on here I've still not been able to tone down some of these, but look at that. There is quite a clear difference there. That does look a lot better. So the next real stage on these ones is we're going to have, apart from the fact I need to close that up, so I'm going to close it up, wash up the brushes. But the next main stage we're going to have to do is we're going to have to focus on these. Is going to focus on these sections, just to make sure that we've got enough mortar, enough to not the mortar. Hang on, I'll just rephrase all of that. What the next stage is that we need to paint the windowsills, which is going to be like a grey, and then we're also going to paint the tops of these chimneys as well. And then once the windowsills are painted, we can actually attach the windows into the actual building. So that's the next stage, and let's get on to that. Okay, so I've managed to finish off the windowsills and stuff. So what I've done is that if this focuses in on it, yes it does. So as you can see, we just painted it a nice grey. So the colour that I've used is a Humbrol 27, just to show there. I'm not sure what the actual colour is called, but it's just to make it just a little bit better. So that the chimney pots will be painted a different colour as well. I'm also going to modify those, so I'll show you how I do that. Not on this one. I think this is going to go into a third one because we've still got to do the roofs yet. So yeah, that's going to be another one really. The chimneys really just needed to be done just to get them out the way. Because the other thing I'm going to do with these is that I'm going to drill them out, just give them a nice little, make it look a little bit better. So pretty much for this project, for this section of the video, I'm going to put the windows in, and then that's going to be it. We're going to finish. That'll be the end of the project. Not the end of the project, but the end of the end of this particular episode. I've also got to glue the front of this building back on, or not back on, but actually attach it on. So that's going to go on there, because now that I've actually got the other bits done, so that's going to be pretty good. So we can do that, and then we're going to actually add the windows themselves, and we'll see how it looks on the layout. A little bit of glazing can be attached to this. We've got just a bit of a door thing here, although I think I might leave that until I've actually painted the door on, because then we can actually paint the sills in, the door. Sorry, they're not the sills, the door frame in as well. So that's what we're going to do with that. So this door can actually be painted. We're going to paint that green. I've got an awning, not an awning, a porch sort of like cover has got to go on this one as well. So we can do that while we sort out the roofs on the next part 3 of this video, which probably will be the November update. So just to go over the different types of windows you've got. So you need 2 of these larger ones. As you can see, I've cut these out very differently just to make a difference. So these go into the main station master's house and this structure, which I think is the booking office. I'm going to put this one into the actual booking office. No, actually, I'm going to put that in the station master's house, actually, and that one's going to go in the booking office, because that looks a bit more utilitarian, that looks a bit more fancy. So that's going to go in that one. These ones, well, actually, let's go to the next one. So we've got these smaller ones, which is like 2 little openings here. There are 2 of those, and they go to the station master's house as well. You can just literally see both of them there. These ones, there's one on the station master's house. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of these ones on the station master's house as well. 3 and 4. So at this point, I'll discover that I've actually got not enough. The booking office has 2 of these ones. So let's put 2 of those out. We then also have 1 of these. feels like I'm playing cards here. 2 of those go to that one. And then this one should have, oh yeah, there's another one of these actually for Station Master's house as well. So that actually has one of everything, and then there's 2, then the rest of these should be on here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these ones. So a quick count out. That's 5, and then we've got, oh yeah, there's another 2 of those. One, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, that's right. So that's the right amount for that one. One of those, and then there should be 3 of these for the back wall of the main waiting room area-y place. So that's roughly what we've got in terms of the windows. I'm just going to glue them in with the normal glue. It's great because you can just use these little little sections of plastic on here. I'm going to double check that I'll check each one before I fit them, just to make sure that they actually fit correctly. And then the next time you should see these buildings will be actually on the layout itself, and I'll just do a little thing there just to show you what it looks like there. So let's get on and glue these windows in and finish the station building.
So here it is. All the windows are in now, as you can see. So that's what the station is now looking like, sitting here on the platform. I'm thinking it's looking quite good. Remember, we've got the front of the awning is going to go along here, so that's something we can do in the next part. And then we've also got the doors to fit still, and the roofs as well. Now the roofs, I'm definitely going to show you how I do that technique. It's very similar to the mortar, to be perfectly honest, but I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I've done it with the mortar and with these other things. This is just my little technique and just something that I personally find works really well. As you can see by this, it's pretty good. I mean, to be honest, maybe this bit needs redoing at some point, just to brush it out a bit, just to make it just a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, I'm happy that, I mean, most of this is going to get covered up by the roof and awning anyway, so it's not going to be hugely visible in that sense, but I am happy with it. I'm glad that it looks a lot better. As you can see, it's not as red if you compare this with the other picture from the previous week. So that's basically what it looks like. I like the mortar on it as well. That looks pretty good. The side sort of like rendering or stonework or whatever. I think it all blends in quite nicely. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Yeah, next week will be the roofs and the other bits and pieces, and finally finishing it off. Also, that's going to be a November update as well, so that will be some of the other improvements. There's not been a huge amount of extra stuff I've done on the board, so yeah, but they will be included as well. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment as well. And I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.